Do you want to improve at a quicker pace? Check out GITGUDRacing.com, where I'm offering the most accessible coaching sessions on the market. Now for the track guide. This is done with a fixed setup. I didn't use any setup, and the first two sectors of this lap were pretty damn good, but I feel like the last sector is exactly like that meme with the horse not being completely drawn. So anyways, I'm gonna point out the mistakes and I'm gonna try to cover as much as possible. Starting with turn 1, you want to align yourself with this exit road, let's say, on the right. There's a kink on the right side where the concrete opens up a bit more. You want to align to it, and as soon as you align to it and you just see that it starts going straight, you want to turn in. So it's very important to open up, and you must do this in advance, because if you're gonna follow this concrete, this white line on the right side from the beginning, meaning from here, and you wanna align with it from here, then you're gonna be surprised that the kink opens up. So you're not aligning with the white line, you're aligning with the kink on the approach. So keeping the car straight to the kink and then turning it. Now, while turning in, you don't want to brake. You want to brake as late as possible for this, because you really want to carry the minimum speed. And right around where I'm getting close to this orange line, I'm applying the brakes. Like whenever I'm, let's say, with my left wheels past the orange line, the yellow line, I'm applying slight trail brake, and I try to apex around this left orange cone from the wall. So I'm trying to bring my car as close as I can, and the closest you can bring it to the wall without touching the wall, obviously, this is the most speed that you can carry, because in these high speed corners, hitting the apex precisely, it's gonna gain you a lot of speed and a lot of time. So again, opening up, braking late, braking soft, apexing, and immediately back on throttle. Now I was a bit afraid here. I thought that I'm gonna ride a bit wide, so I had this lift. Ideally you won't have this small lift, because look, I had the space to play with. I had, let's say, a tire width of space to the right side, but to me it felt that I carried too much speed there, so I had this lift. Avoided. Now coming up to the next corner, I'm aligning to the white line. At the braking point for me is the second cone with the fixed setup, but I did one change in the fixed setup. The change that I did was the brake bias. I moved it back one click, and I think that if you can manage with 2 clicks to the rears, it's gonna be even better for some corners. However, the car is gonna be unsettled under braking in the rears. So right now I'm braking at the second cone, and I feel like around here I have a slightly oversteer. So the car is kinda light, but this is exactly what we need in order to rotate around here, because we don't want to slow down. The moment that you're gonna slow down to take this corner, meaning you're gonna avoid being on throttle early, you're gonna lose a lot of time, and you're gonna be early on throttle by getting the rotation. So word of the day is rotation around here. You need to make the car rotate quickly to be early on throttle, to take this and build up the throttle, and around here you should be already flat out. I'm using a bit this curb. I'm aligning with the white line to opening up as much as possible in the next corner, and I don't have a brake reference for this one. As soon as I have the car straighten up after this corner, like right now it's straight, I'm gonna apply the brakes. I take a bit more time, but in general this is how I think, at least when I'm driving, because I want to maximize the straight line braking efficiency of the car. So starting the brakes after you make the car straight, turning in a bit, and notice that I'm on throttle around here, so it's way earlier than the apex, and this is what you should do. In this lap I gained here more than 2/10 or half, 1/10 and a half, just by being this early on throttle. I know for sure this is gonna be the fastest way around this track, as I did a lot of laps, and yeah, the first 2 sectors were kind of fire for me. So braking, still holding the brakes, and then immediately be back on throttle. Just a small blimp, and then I'm going back again. I'm trying to maintain the minimum speed up, and it's gonna be a bit uncomfortable and a bit harder to do it with the traditional way of going on throttle and never drop it, since you can't really be on 50% throttle, 30% throttle around here, but you can force a bit of speed. So I'm trying to do just that. I'm applying now the throttle, and I'm using this curve on the exit. Really important to use it, but if you're gonna arrive here from a weird angle, you're actually gonna scrub speed. So the way that it's gonna work is if you have a later apex here. Like, you don't apex when you see it around here, you're not apexing here, you're apexing as late as possible. And notice that I'm not hitting this curb. I tried hitting this curb, and this curb will just unsettle the car and will make this exit a lot worse, since this is a big straight. So avoid using that curb, just go around it. And now for the next corner, let me go straight to the braking. So this is a heavy braking zone. Right now I'm looking at the third cone. I want to brake at it or slightly past it. Right now I'm braking at it. I'm picking hard, dropping, and downshifting first, still trail braking. You need to do a lot of trail braking here to make the car rotate. And immediately after, I'm back on throttle. So around here, back on throttle, building up the throttle from first gear. Now it's all about getting the shortest path possible towards this section. So we arrive at the next corner, where I brake at after the third. In my mind, I want to brake in between second and third. So I'm applying the brakes, I'm downshifting, and again, here you want to get close to this curb, white and blue curb, but you don't want to go over it. You'll lose a lot of time by hitting the curb. And the challenge is to go as close as you can around it and apexing late by using the trail brake to rotate without going over it. Ideally, if you do everything right and you're early on throttle, you're connecting the brake with the throttle, you will be pushed not at this curb, you don't want to be over this curb, but pretty damn close to the white line. Because right now you can take the next corner without preparation. So don't over prepare this corner by bringing the car more to the center of the track, because you can easily do this, like this, by being full throttle. So it's more important to be early on throttle and carry the speed and get pushed more wider like this, than being slower and being in the middle of the car, of the track. Again, positioning from the next corner. I take here a bit of a weird line. Like right now, you can go to the right, like going diagonally towards the braking zone. I go around it, which I don't think it's good. I would suggest, instead of doing this line that I'm doing here, you're gonna gain maybe 0.03, 0.02 if you're going straight like this, instead of going around it like I do here. Just go straight, the braking. But I didn't pay too much attention to this thing. It's not a huge gain anyways, but if I'm gonna drive F3 this week, I'm not gonna drive this line. I'm just gonna try to go diagonally and then brake more diagonally than right now. Right now I'm preparing it a bit too much. I think you can do it without it, but it's gonna be for sure a bit more trickier. The reward is still there though, 0.02 each lap, it adds up. Now for the braking, I brake in between the second and the third cone, and this is the moment in which I kinda started to slow down. So I saw that this was a very good lap and I wanted to bring it to the finish line. So what I'm doing here on entry, it's quite good because I'm using this curb. You want to put your tire on it at turn in to open up even more. I'm trailing, but then I'm very hesitant on throttle. So I'm on throttle before the apex. You want to go again around this curb. You don't want to touch it. It's the same thing like the last corner. But I was afraid that I will go wide, even though I had quite good apex, I would say. So I had this hesitation and again hesitation here, so it looks like a staircase with a throttle, and you see that I have a bit more space on the exit, so this hesitation could have been smoothened out. You don't want to have this. You want to have a bit more confident approach, but don't fall into the trap of overslowing the car on entry just so you have a straight line throttle application. That's not gonna be... It's gonna be the opposite, so you're still gonna lose even though your inputs are more you know, straight lined. Using all this exit and now heading up to the next section of the track. These two flat out. For the next one, I'm braking at the second cone and I try to go closely around this curve without touching it, and I have a slight moment of oversteer. I wanted to generate the rotation under braking, and I did. Like right now I'm correcting the oversteer, but it was a bit too much. And because of that I have another moment, and right now I lost a bit of time, because whenever you're gonna correct the oversteer, you're not using the front tires to their maximum capacity, because I'm doing 1 time, 2 times. So instead of using all the grip to the fronts to make the car turn, I'm using it to correct the oversteer. So it was a bit too much oversteer for me. I already had the rotation that I needed, but I'm going around this curb, and at this point in between these sections, this corner and the next corner, we want to be on 100% throttle. So right now 100%, hitting a bit this curb, 100%, and then braking. And you're gonna brake for this corner in this way. So you're gonna position your car more to the left on this part. I don't know exactly the off-track limit. I tested a bit, but not that much. So I would suggest, if you really want to maximize this track, find out where the off-track limit is, so you know how much left you can go. Then it's a slight trail brake and a throttle, using all the track. And now let's go to maybe the trickiest section of the track, in my opinion. For me, the turning point is the second cone. So as soon as I'm at the second, I'm starting to turn the car. Then I'm guiding myself like this. I want to add the initial brake at the end of this concrete around here, the darker area. In this lap, because I was just a bit more cautious, I braked a bit earlier. But I think this was a mistake from my part. I think I could have carried a bit more speed. So I would suggest around here to start applying the brakes, whenever you stop seeing this dark concrete. The next reference, because you really have to find out checkpoints or many references in order to properly take this corner, because you don't see anything around here. You can't see the corner, so it's impossible without having some good reference to take this consistently. For me, the next reference is this white line around here. I want to put maybe, let's say, maximum half of the car past it. So I go with the antenna being at the white line, like how it's right now, exactly on the white line, but then I turn. So I stay a bit on the white line, but then I'm turning. And at the same time, I'm holding the brake, so I'm trail braking. And next place where I look is this right side, this wall and this yellow line. This will be my first apex. So I'm apexing around here, and as soon as I'm apexing, I'm back on throttle, I'm building up the throttle, and this is my second apex. I want to be close to this wall again, so there are the 2 walls, under the bridge is the second one, and then it's just keeping it flat. For sure, it's a difficult corner, especially if you haven't driven Sebring too much, but in short, that's my track guide. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you on the next one.